Look at this beautiful girl. She's so beautiful. She's so attractive. She's a Lekki babe. She's a Lagos slay mama. A small girl with a big God. Her name is Princess. Well, let's go through her story together. In the heart of Lagos, there was no place quite like Lekki, known for its sprawling mansions, pristine beaches, and bustling nightlife. It was the playground of Nigeria's elites. For many young women, it was a dream come true. The symbol of success, wealth, and recognition, Princess, a 22-year-old beauty with flowing ebony hair, a curvy frame, and a striking features, had always longed for this kind of life. She wasn't born into luxury, but she certainly believed she could attain it. Raised in the dusty streets of a small village in Imo State, Princess had grown up watching her family struggle to make ends meet. Her parents, hard-working farmers, did their best, but the road to wealth seemed distant and unreachable. Princess, however, dreamed big. She was determined to find her way out of poverty. When she moved to Lekki with some of her childhood friends, her dreams began to take shape, but not the way she had initially envisioned. She met the Lekki babes soon after moving into the area. They were 6 girls, each uniquely beautiful in their own rights, but all with the same goal: to live life like the rich, the powerful, and the famous. It was an unspoken pact among them: do whatever it takes to maintain a luxurious lifestyle, even if that meant compromising their morals. Each day, they frequented the high-end clubs and lounges in Lekki, luring the attentions of rich married men who could afford to pay for their company. The Lekki babes were well known in the area, not for their achievements, but for their beauty, their seduction, and their relentless pursuit of wealth. Princess often felt a sense of emptiness behind her glamorous life. Yes, she had everything she thought she wanted: designer clothes, expensive perfumes, luxurious parties, and a social media following full of influencers. Yet, something always gnawed at her, an incline of guilt she couldn't shake. She knew deep down that the wealth she was accumulating came with a price. One evening, after a particular lavish party, Princess sat alone on the balcony of their rented 3-bedroom apartment in Lekki. The night air was cool, and the view of the skyline was breathtaking. She gazed at her reflection in the glass door, seeing a beautiful, confident young woman staring back at her, but the reflection felt foreign, like someone she didn't entirely recognize. Is this it? She wondered aloud. Is this the life I dreamt of? But the luxurious apartment, filled with laughter and selfies from her friends inside, was proof that now this life was all she had. A few days later, an unexpected invitation arrived at their apartment. Princess received a message from an old acquaintance, a man she had met a few months prior. He was a wealthy businessman with connection to powerful figures in Nigeria. He had sent an invitation for her and her friends to attend a private house party at the residence of a well-known politician. The message was direct: tonight's exclusive party, you will meet some of the biggest names in politics and business. Don't miss out on the opportunities of a lifetime. The girls were ecstatic. A house party hosted by a top politician could open doors to unimaginable opportunities for the Lekki babes. It was a golden chance to climb even higher in the social ladder. We need to make sure we impress tonight. Let's show them what we've got, Princess said, her voice filled with excitement. The other girls agreed, and they spent hours preparing, choosing the most stunning outfits, putting on flawless makeup, and rehearsing their flirtations. They arrived at the party in their most seductive dresses, their heels clicking on the marble floors of the grand mansion. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, music, and the clinking of expensive champagne glasses. Politicians, celebrities, and businessmen mingled in the dimly lit rooms, engaging in hushed conversations and secretive deals. Princess felt the weight of the room's energy. It was unlike any party they had attended before. The men were powerful and influential. The women were glamorous and polished. She couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This was it. They had arrived. But as the night wore on, Princess began to sense a shift. The politeness of the early greetings was slowly giving way to something darker. The men were becoming more suggestive, more aggressive. She noticed the way some of the women were treated, their smiles never quite reaching their eyes. The turning point came late in the evening after the alcohol had flowed freely and the guests had become more emboldened. Princess found herself in a corner of the party with Senator Ayodele, a man whose name was synonymous with power and influence in Nigerian politics. His smile was smooth, his eyes calculating, and he knew exactly how to make a woman feel both desired and uncomfortable at the same time. "I've been watching you," Senator Ayodele said, his voice low and smooth. "You are a smart girl, Princess. I like the way you carry yourself." Princess smiled politely, maintaining her composure. She had learned the art of charm. It was part of her survival, but the way he spoke made her skin crawl. It wasn't just flattery. There was something more to it, something predatory. He leaned in closer. "You know life in Lekki is full of temptations, but to truly succeed, you have to be willing to take risks. Are you willing to do whatever it takes?" Princess's heart skipped a beat. The implication was clear. She had heard rumors about the way powerful men in politics and businessmen demanded things from women, but she had never expected it to be so direct. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Senator Ayodele's smile widened. "I think you know exactly what I mean. To be in our cycle, you need to prove your worth. You need to show that you can handle the pressure." Princess felt a cold shiver run down her spine, but she didn't show it. She had learned to play the game, but something about this felt different, darker, more dangerous. At that moment, the situation escalated. Another man, one of Ayodele's associates, stepped forward. His name was Kola, and his reputation was even worse. He was known for being cruel, manipulative, and untrustworthy. He smiled wickedly. "Princess darling, you are going to do us a favor tonight," Kola said. His tone was mocking. "We've got a little challenge for you." Princess's eyes darted between the two men, her mind racing. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Senator Ayodele chuckled, his hand resting too casually on her arm. "It's simple. There is a little game we like to play with our guests. If you want to stay in our good books, you need to prove you're willing to do anything." The room fell silent as Kola pulled forward a small snaring dog on a leash, a massive intimidating creature that seemed to sense the tension in the room. The two men exchanged looks of satisfaction as they waited for Princess to react. Princess's stomach turned. She knew exactly what they were implying. The request was grotesque, inhuman, and beyond anything she had ever imagined. Her entire body froze. She wanted to scream, to run, but fear held her captive. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. Comply, or there would be consequences. No, Princess whispered, her voice shaking. I won't do that. The man's expressions changed instantly. Kola's grin faded, and Senator Ayodele's eyes darkened. They leaned in closer, their power looming over her. You don't have a choice. You must sleep with the dog to prove you can be trusted, or else, Ayodele said, his voice like a snake's hiss. Do as we say, and you will get everything you've ever wanted. But refuse, and there will be consequences you can't imagine. Terror surged through Princess. Her options seemed non-existent. In the moment, she made the most painful decision of her life. She complied. She slept with the dog, hoping that by doing so, she would avoid the wrath of the men who controlled the room. The act itself was beyond grotesque, but Princess felt a rush of panic and desperation. She didn't know what else to do. As soon as it was over, Princess fled the party, her mind in chaos. Her friends were still in the party, oblivious to what had happened. But Princess felt a deep, crushing sorrow. She had lost something that night, something far more valuable than any designer dress or luxurious car. She spent the whole night crying, but her tears was all in vain. This is medicine after death. The next few days were a blur. Princess felt sick, physically and emotionally. Her body was in pain, and a dark gnawing sense of despair lingered in her mind. The sense of guilt weighed heavily on her. She had crossed a line, and now there was no going back. Her friends noticed the changes in her. Her pale complexion, the way she no longer laughed or joked. She didn't go out much anymore, and when she did, she seemed distant, like a different person altogether. I don't feel right, Princess told one of her friends, Chika, a fellow member of the LEkki Babes. One evening, as they sat on the plush couch of their LEkki apartment, the TV was on, but neither of them was paying attention to the flashing images of the screen. Princess's eyes were vacant. Her once radiant skin had grown pale, and her hands trembled as they wrapped around a glass of water. Chika, always a carefree one, looked up from her phone. You look like you are about to fall apart. Girl, what happened at the party? Did something go wrong? Princess hesitated, not sure how to explain the unexplainable. She had never anticipated that a night meant to elevate her status would end in such an unimaginable way. How could she describe what had happened, not just to Chika, but to herself? The decision she had made felt like a chain around her neck, tightening with every passing hour. I don't know, Chika. I just don't feel like me anymore, Princess murmured. I feel like I did something terrible and it's eating me up inside. Chika, sensing the gravity in her voice, reached out and took her hand. Princess, come on, what's going on? You are starting to freak me out. You are the strongest person I know. You can handle anything. But Princess shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. I couldn't handle that. It was too much. I did something I never thought I'd do. And now I can't shake it off. I feel sick. Chika's expression faltered. She had seen Princess go through plenty of ups and downs. But this was different. This wasn't just a broken heart from a failed relationship or a fallout from a bad business deal. This was something deeper, more personal, something that threatened to unravel the very core of who Princess was. I think you should see a doctor, Chika suggested softly, her voice full of concern. This sounds more than just a bad hangover or a little guilt. You need help, Princess. But Princess didn't listen. She couldn't bring herself to see anyone about it. The guilt had consumed her, and the physical symptoms only worsened. She felt nauseous all the time. Her appetite had vanished, and when she could eat, nothing stayed down for long. Her body felt like it was rejecting everything she had done, everything she had allowed herself to become. For the next few days, Princess stayed in bed, too sick to go out, too broken to engage with her friends or her social media following. She would occasionally post a picture, but even her followers noticed the change. They were used to her smiling, flawless selfies, but now there was a hollow look in her eyes, a look that spoke volumes, even though she didn't say a word. After 2 days of feeling increasingly ill, Princess decided she had to leave. The physical symptoms, nausea, dizziness, and exhaustion had become unbearable. Her body felt drained, as though it was shutting down from the inside, and the emotions toll was just as overwhelming. She was suffocating in the glamorous life she had built for herself. Without telling anyone, she packed a small bag, quietly slipped out of the apartment, and boarded a flight to her village in Imo State. It was the only place she could think of that would offer her some semblance of peace. The village was far removed from the glitz and glamour of Lekki, and as she arrived at her family modest home, the air felt different, calmer, more grounded. The scent of fresh earth, the chirping of birds, and the rustling of palm trees greeted her as she stepped out of the car. She was grateful to be away from the fast-paced, materialistic world of Lagos. But even in the peace of her childhood home, the weight of her choices remained. Her mother, who hadn't seen her daughter in months, was overjoyed, but immediately noticed how pale and withdrawn Princess had become. She asked about her health, but Princess avoided direct answers. She simply wanted to lie in bed and forget about everything. Forget the party, forget the choices, forget the sickness, but the sickness had already seeped into her mind and soul. Over the next few days, Princess became weaker and weaker. Her mother insisted she see a local doctor, and Princess reluctantly agreed. After a series of tests, the doctor gave them a grim news. Princess has contracted a severe infection, likely due to the events she had endured at the party. Her body had been overwhelmed, and the toll of her choices was now manifesting in the form of a life-threatening illness. "I'm sorry, my daughter," the doctor said somberly. "The infection has progressed too far. There isn't much we can do. You need immediate treatment, but we don't have the facilities here." Princess's world shattered. In the moment, she realized how far gone she was. She had sought power, wealth, and status, but she had gained nothing but a broken body and a devastated soul. The party, the men, the promises for a life filled with luxury, all of it had come with consequences she hadn't imagined. Princess cried and cried and cried. In her final days, Princess laid in a small room she had once called her sanctuary, surrounded by the family sights and sounds of her childhood, the yellow walls and the small wooden chairs where she kept her memories, and the quiet village outside seemed like a distant memory, a life she had abandoned too soon. Her mother sat beside her, holding her hand, the same hands that had rocked her to sleep as a child, now trembling with fear and sorrow. "You don't have to suffer like this. My child, please tell me what happened. Why did you come home to me sooner?" Princess could barely speak. Her energy had been drained, and the infection was spreading. Her throat burned, and her body ached. She looked up at her mother and whispered, "I made a mistake, Mama. I thought I could have everything, everything I ever wanted, but it cost me everything." She paused, the words thick in her throat. I I gave away pieces of myself for things that don't matter. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "You are my daughter. You are more than any wealth or power can give. You are loved." But it was too late. Princess closed her eyes, her breath shallow as her mother sobbed quietly beside her. The girl who had once dreamed of escaping poverty, of living a life of luxury and fame, had paid the ultimate price. She had sold herself for a taste of power, but in the end, it wasn't the politicians, the celebrities, or the luxury that could save her. It was the love of her family and the quiet peace of the village that she had forsaken. Princess passed away that evening, the night air soft and still as if the world had paused in mourning. News of Princess's death spread quickly through their cycle. The Lekki babes were devastated. They had lost their leader, their friend, the girl who had always been the most glamorous and confident. But as the shock wore off, the other girls began to reflect on the cost of the lifestyle they had pursued. Chika in particular felt the weight of guilt. She thought back to the night they had spent together, chasing after fleeting pleasures and empty promises. She had always admired Princess's beauty, her ability to charm anyone, but she had never fully understood the emptiness that came with it. Now, with Princess gone, Chika and others were left to grapple with their own choices. Could they continue down the same path, or was it time to make a change? One by one, the Lekki babes began to separate. Some returned to their families, others tried to start a new life, but they all carried with them the lessons learned from Princess's tragic end. The price of ambition, fame, and wealth was far too high if it meant sacrificing one's soul. Princess's story became a cautionary tale in Lekki and beyond. Her rise and fall served as a stark reminder that the pursuit of wealth at any cost could lead to disastrous consequences. Young girls who once idolized the Lekki babes began to question the true meaning of success. In her village, Princess's memory lived on. She had returned to the place where it all began, and though her life was cut short, her story sparked a wave of change. People began to value integrity over materialism, love over power, and peace over empty ambition. Her legacy was a tragic one, but it was also a lesson, one that young women in Nigeria and around the world carried with them for generations to come. The story of Princess serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of seeking validation and wealth at the cost of one's dignity and self-worth. Why it's important to dream big, the ultimate price of losing oneself in the pursuit of material success can be too high. True value comes from within, from family, and from the choices that align with one's morals and integrity. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from this amazing story. Please do well to subscribe and join us for more tales. We love you.